Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Fans of Bold and the Beautiful, we have some very important news. I'm thrilled to announce that Matthew Atkinson will be returning to BNB in September. Thomas Forrester will return to Los Angeles. He will return to our screens. In case you haven't heard, some things including potential relationship swaps will undoubtedly change when he returns. Welcome back, Bold and the Beautiful, in the role of Thomas Forrester, Matthew Atkinson. We will discuss potential significant couple disruptions that could occur. Thomas's homecoming and other recent occurrences might set these off. Okay, that's fantastic news. It's verified. It's Matthew Atkinson again. As Thomas Forrester, he is now filming for Bold and the Beautiful. Here are some pictures of him playing cornhole at the new location where BNB is now filming. Matt Atkinson will be on broadcast in roughly 3 to 5 weeks now that he is back on the set. Thus, September will undoubtedly arrive. The fans are ecstatic. I'm sure I'm ecstatic. Everyone has been asking, where is Thomas Forrester? What time will he return? No one, not even the most perceptive member of the Forrester family, could have foreseen the shock wave that was about to engulf their world. As the late summer sun spilled golden light over Los Angeles and the Forrester mansion stood silent, its halls resonating with the expectation of another day of drama. It started quietly. When the huge front door swung wide, Ridge was in the living room talking to Carter on the phone about the next Forrester Creations campaign. Thomas Forrester was standing there in his fine black jacket, his hair a little disheveled, and he had a resolute but anxious look on his face. It wasn't only Thomas, though. Standing next to him was a child who was perhaps 8 or 9 years old. He was tall for his age, had wavy chestnut hair and bright green eyes, which made him a Forrester. The child, with a posture halfway between shy and inquisitive, held a small rucksack. Ridge's forehead immediately wrinkled. Who is this Thomas? With a cautious yet suspicious tone, Ridge asked slowly as he approached them. After taking a deep breath and glancing back and forth between Ridge and the youngster, Thomas spoke in a quiet, somewhat shuddering voice. This is my son. The name John Forrester is his. It was as if the room stopped breathing. Ridge stopped. Carter's voice continued to reverberate softly over the line until Ridge abruptly ended the connection. Your son. Ridge said it again in a strained voice. What are you saying, Thomas? You already have Douglas. Taking a deep breath, Thomas led John one step closer. I'm stating that I have other children besides Douglas before I moved to New York after everything with Hope. I was in another relationship years ago. It wasn't planned and it wasn't public, but I'm taking John home because he's mine. Rich struggled to make sense of what he was hearing. Home? You didn't say. Thomas cut in abruptly, his voice breaking beneath the strain of his burden. Because I didn't know for sure. Until now. He was kept away from me by his mother. She informed me that she didn't want him to be touched by my world. However, things changed, and now she's no more. Last month, she passed away. There was nowhere else for John to go. Furthermore, I will not allow my son to grow up without knowing his family. John looked up at that, a mixture of love and terror in his youthful eyes. For a brief time, Ridge's heart softened, but the implications for the Forrester family were already causing his mind to race. Brooke was just coming back upstairs from a heated business meeting when she heard her heels click down the stairs till she got to the bottom and froze in her tracks at what she saw. Thomas? Her eyes narrowed as she questioned, "Who is this?" Rich sighed deeply as he turned to face her. "This is John Brooke, Thomas's son." Brooke's hand automatically went to her lips as she blinked in shock. "Son, one more." Her tone was abrasive and accusing as she turned to face Thomas. "What time did you intend to tell anyone?" Thomas lost his temper. "If somebody in this family had truly given me a chance to breathe, without criticizing every move I made, Brooke, perhaps I would have. I have been attempting to prove myself after my faults by being a good father to Douglas. However, life doesn't wait for the ideal moment. You will all just have to accept the fact that I have a kid who is here now." Brooke looked at Ridge and was obviously not convinced. "Are you listening, Rich?" He concealed a child from us all. "You can't just throw this into the living room like a brand new accessory." Torn between his son's unbridled emotion and his wife's suspicion, Rich squeezed the bridge of his nose. "We must reduce our speed. I want to know everything, Thomas. Who is his mom? What is his residence? Why now?" Thomas paused, looking at John, who was obviously uneasy in the spotlight. "Clara was her name. In New York, she worked as a designer. We were together for a short time. She informed me she was raising the child alone because she didn't want him to be in the spotlight when she became pregnant. I appreciated it, but she never claimed him as her own. Not until she became ill. She sent me the results of the DNA test before she passed away from cancer last month. She apologized to me for not telling me about him. I took him home after flying out there." Ridge's face softened a little as he saw the anguish in Thomas's eyes, the loss of a lady he had known, and the crushing weight of rearing a child all at once. Brooke, however, was not so easily convinced. She insisted. "And what about Douglas? You're taking in another child after working so hard to keep him in your life? How will you manage to keep everything in balance? Or are you merely attempting to make a point?" Thomas's voice was low yet forceful as he tightened his hands. "I'm attempting to be a dad. I never imagined that I would be given another chance to do something correctly. My heart belongs to Douglas. John is now as well. For that, I won't apologize." Footsteps sounded from the corridor as the tension in the room increased. Steffi came in, just out of a meeting at Forrester Creations, and froze when she saw Thomas and the youngster. Her eyes widened. "Thomas, who is this?" Ridge gazed at his daughter hopelessly. "This is your nephew, Steffi." Steffi's mouth fell open. "A nephew? You mean you, Thomas?" Thomas interrupted, his voice cracking a little. "Yes, this is John, my son." As she stepped closer, Steffi's hand automatically went to her chest, and her eyes softened as she met the boy's. "Hello, John." She lowered herself to his level and said softly, "I'm your aunt, Steffi," still holding on to his rucksack like a lifeline. John smiled slightly. "Hello." Steffi, obviously shocked but also aware of the seriousness of the situation, glanced up at Thomas. "What kept you from telling me?" Thomas said bluntly. "Because I didn't know for sure until it was too late." "Steffi, I'm not proud of the inquiries." "What about Liam?" "His anxiety for Douglas's custody is already high, and this will just exacerbate it." Ridge gave a long, deep breath. "Perhaps. However, he is Brooke, my grandson. I am unable to ignore him." Brooke gave a headshake. "Remember, Ridge? People are harmed each time Thomas shares a secret. In this home, a new storm was building within the Forrester estate while the darkness descended on Los Angeles. Outside, John, a youngster with Forrester ancestry and an unexpected background, had been introduced to their society by Thomas. And while some saw danger in the unspoken secrets, others found hope in the possibility of atonement. The Forrester family was about to discover that sometimes the most unexpected visitors bring not only happiness, but also information that could completely change their preconceived notions. The mood at the Forrester mansion was tense. The following morning, as if the walls themselves were anticipating a storm, while Thomas and John were upstairs, getting John ready, Rich sat in the living room drinking coffee, still digesting the events of the day before. The sound of a car coming into the driveway and the swift, firm knock on the front door disturbed the silence. When Ridge opened it, Hope was standing there grinning broadly until she noticed Ridge's look. Her smile wavered. Is everything all right? The way you sounded on the phone was odd. Rich paused. I hope you'd better enter. Something needs your attention. Hope entered, her brow furrowed in bewilderment. What is it, Rich? Is Douglas doing well? Before Ridge could respond, Thomas and John went down the stairs. The boy's green eyes were awake, but wary, and he was wearing jeans and a button-down shirt. Thomas spoke, steadily but with a hint of expectation. I hope it's John, my son. Hope blinked quickly, as if the words were not calculating. Your son, Thomas gave a nod. Indeed, my second child. Like a taut cable, the quiet drew them apart. Hope's thoughts were racing as her eyes flitted between Thomas and John. You didn't say anything at all. How in the world is this possible? Thomas took a deep breath. It's a lengthy tale, but I spent a brief period of time in New York with his mother, Clara. Until recently, she didn't tell me she was expecting or that he was he's here now, and she's dead. Hope quickly put her palm to her mouth. Oh my God, Thomas. John moved uneasily beneath her stare as she looked down at him. She's stooping slightly. She whispered softly. Hello, John. My name is Hope. I am Douglas's mother. John's expression brightened a little when Douglas was brought up. He looked up at Thomas excitedly and said, I have a brother. Thomas gave a small smile. Indeed. Additionally, you will meet him today. Hope became concerned at that point. Have you considered Douglas's reaction to this? Thomas having to deal with his family's changes and being passed around. A lot could be too much for him to handle. Thomas's mouth clenched. I understand. I'm not keeping this from him, though. He should be aware that he has a brother. Reluctantly, Hope nodded. Then we proceed cautiously. Together, Douglas was picked up from school and arrived within an hour. With his typical vigor, he dashed into the mansion until he noticed John standing next to Thomas. Dad, who is that? Thomas put a hand on each boy's shoulder while he was kneeling. This is John Douglas. He is your younger sibling. Douglas's astonished eyes darted from Thomas to John as he froze. I have a brother. There was a mixture of surprise and interest in his voice. What kept you from telling me? Thomas spoke in a soft, yet forceful tone. Because I was unaware of it until recently. But Douglas, he's family, similar to you. After examining John for a while, Douglas moved in closer. Hello, he stated plainly. John gave a bashful smile. Hello. After an uneasy glance between the guys, Douglas inquired, do you enjoy playing video games? John's eyes grew luminous. Yes. As the two hurried upstairs to Thomas's room, leaving the adults in the living room. The tension instantly subsided, relieved that the initial meeting had not ended in tears. Hope let out a breath. She acknowledged, "That went better than I expected." However, the silence was short-lived. Liam strode in, his face stormy as the front door exploded open once more. "What's happening?" "Hope calls to ask me to come over, and Brooke tells me that Thomas has a child. He says is his biological son." Ridge stood preparing to be hit. "Liam, perhaps we ought to." "No. I'd rather hear it directly from him." Liam turned to face Thomas, who had just returned to the room, and his voice thundered. "All right, would you mind explaining?" Thomas stood up straight, his pride rising to match Liam's aggression. "John is his name. He is my son. The narrative is over." Liam's gaze grew strained. "Is the narrative over? When you unexpectedly arrive with a child we've never heard of, do you think everyone will just accept it? What evidence do you possess?" Thomas's tone fell to a perilous silence. "My DNA results are in. I own him, and he is now a member of this family, whether you like it or not." Liam laughed. "Thomas, this is your best self. Always with the huge, dramatic reveals. Always with the mysteries. Do you really believe that you can simply drop a bomb like this and get away with it?" Hope moved in front of them and spoke urgently. "Stop, Liam. This is about the lads, not about you or Thomas. There is now a brother for Douglas. We must concentrate on ensuring a seamless transition." When Liam's gaze fell on Hope, his eyes softened a little, but his jaw stiffened. "What about John? He has been living where? Who has been looking after him? How can we be certain that he is not only a pawn in one of Thomas's plots?" Thomas had a piercing voice because his mom didn't let me see him. "Liam, she's gone. And just because you don't like me doesn't mean I'm going to leave my son." Breathless from chasing one another, Douglas and John ran back downstairs, interrupting the dispute. "Can we go to the park, Dad?" Douglas inquired excitedly. Thomas looked at Hope and grinned. After a moment of hesitation, she nodded. "I'll be there too." "They will benefit from spending time together." Liam observed his face vacillating between mistrust and a desire to spare the guy's moment. Rich touched Liam on the shoulder. "Family can sometimes appear in unexpected ways. Although you don't have to like Thomas, you might want to try to appreciate the fact that those two children recently crossed paths." Although Liam remained silent, his eyes followed Douglas and John as they ran for the door. The two lads had the same Forrester eyes and were related by blood, but they were entering a relationship that would be put to the test by the storms raging all around them. Brooke came out of the study with her phone in hand as the door shut behind them. It was Donna. She claims that a mysterious youngster in the property has already generated a lot of media attention. Thomas must have been brought here yesterday by someone. Ridge let out a grunt. "Fantastic. Exactly what we require." Brooke gazed at him with a tired familiarity that could only come from decades of drama. "Ridge, this is not going away. Whatever this does to the family and the business, we must be